I know we're the product boss and our love language is product business, but it's more than your product. So when you're looking at standing out in the market or having customers stick with you, it really is about everything around the product. It's the spin that you put on it.
Hey, my name is Jenna Kutcher, and I am obsessed with all things business, marketing, numbers, and helping you to navigate both the messy and the magical seasons of this thing called life. I'm a small town mama who took a $300 camera, grew a successful photo biz, and now I work from home and run a 7-figure online business. I teach you the tried and true secrets to building a career you adore. Shy away from the real talk? No way. Money, hardship, growth, loss, and marketing are all topics we discuss here. Think of this as your one-stop shop for happy hour with a gal pal mixed with business school. Pull up a seat, make sure you're cozy, and get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. Where are my product-based business owners at? I know the community of makers and creators listening to this show is a mighty one. So I am thrilled to welcome 2 expert voices in the product-based space to speak to the unique challenges and opportunities that come with launching and growing a business around a physical product. Jacqueline Snyder and Minna Khounlo-Sithep are the combined force behind the Product Boss podcast. Together, their goal is to change the landscape of product entrepreneurship and help product-based entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses in an ever-changing landscape. In this conversation, Jacqueline and Minna are sharing their insider tips for leveraging the product-based space, how to prepare for business seasons like big retail holidays, their philosophy for should you discount or should you offer a sale, and advice for getting the most out of your email marketing efforts, like is a discount code really necessary to grow your list? We're diving into all of this and so much more. Are you ready for this chat with the product boss ladies themselves? Let's dive on in with Jacqueline and Minna. I love sharing podcast recommendations with you. If you love Goal Digger, then you'll love Nudge, hosted by Phil Agnew. Learn the science behind great marketing with bite-sized 20-minute episodes packed with practical advice from world-class marketers and behavioral scientists. Nudge is fast-paced and insightful with real-world examples that you can apply to your business. I loved this recent episode where Phil shares how our subconscious mind calls the shots and how to bring more awareness to your thoughts to help you not make stupid mistakes. His words, not mine. Nudge is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Listen to Nudge wherever you get your podcasts. So I was just telling Jacqueline and Minna that I feel like I am still very, very humble because I am recording this episode in my parked car in my garage, which is actually where this podcast was born. And so you two get to be a part of something that started many years ago. And honestly, I think the car studio sounds pretty darn good. What do you guys think?
It does. You sound great over there. And on top of it, you've had such a huge week. So I love when it's kind of getting grounded and centered and you really are back to your roots in the car.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. Someone asked me the other day, like, how do you stay grounded? And I was like, oh, trust me, the people in my life will never let my head get too big. And today Drew was like, oh yeah, remember I'm dropping my Jeep off and the girls and I are home. And I'm like, oh, cool. We got this. So now we just talked about my origin story of the Goal Digger podcast, but I want to dive on into what is your origin story of your partnership? Tell me more about like how you two both ended up working together, because I'm always so fascinated by partnerships and you two seem to have a really beautiful one.
Thank you. So this is Jacqueline, by the way. Hello, friends. And, you know, I think I always thought I needed or wanted a partner, but I could never find that. You know, I think a lot of people out there, especially in entrepreneurship, feel very alone and wish that there was someone else to kind of, you know, bounce things off of. So Minna and I actually met through a podcast. So a bigger podcaster that we both listened to mentioned Minna on a podcast and said, you know, Minna's an expert at Amazon because Minna owns a company called Little Labels, which are labels for baby bottles, and they're machine washable and they're sold on Amazon. She's like, but if she ever wanted to be a coach, she could coach on Amazon. So as I'm listening to this podcast episode, my ears ping because I'm a fashion designer by trade and I had an accessories brand that had my second kid. And I was like, I can't run a consulting business and an accessories brand and all the things. So I wanted to liquidate it. And it was the time that Amazon was coming up. And I reached out to Minna in this Facebook group and said, hey, can I pick your brain on Amazon? And she was generous enough to jump on a coffee chat, those old school Facebook coffee chats, and basically kind of coach me through whether or not Amazon was going to be the right choice for me in my product-based business. And what we realized very quickly was that we were able to become fast friends. And I think partially because we're both moms, our kids were very similar ages. We both had 2-year-olds, but also we spoke the same, as we call it, love language. So business is our love language. And to go even deeper, speaking about product-based businesses, because we realized that in a sea of podcasts and information education companies, it was all very geared towards service-based and nobody was speaking to product-based business owners. So as we sort of went back and forth and chatted and talked about inventory and shipping and production and all the things that product-based businesses have to, talk about, we realized that there must be other people in the world that needed the same sort of information. And so, we took a leap and created the podcast. But I think first and foremost, we were 2 women that were in the same season of life, that in a similar business, and we wanted to collaborate, right? We're all about collaboration over competition. And we were just like, we were giving to each other.
I love that. Minna, do you have anything to add to that? Like, how did you guys decide how the Product Boss would be born, created? Like, what was that origin story in like the actual work together? Because I love that it started on friendship and I love that you shared that same passion. So how did you decide a podcast was it? And how was the Product Boss born?
It actually happened super naturally. We actually ended up, Jacqueline invited me to speak on a panel about Amazon. There's other experts on there. And like she said, we became really fast friends and we genuinely enjoyed each other's company. And so what happened was I was on that panel. I went to Los Angeles. It was actually the first time that we had ever met in person. So I could have, catfished her really, but I did not.
And I always say I could have been a psycho, but she can deal with my kind of psycho.
And then Jacqueline was like, we should sell a mastermind at the end of it. So we actually ended up starting a mastermind called Multi-Stream Machine, which is actually our signature course now. So we came full circle as well. But it literally was, I was on the panel. We said, if anybody's interested in being in this virtual mastermind with us, meet us out in the hallway and we will get you all signed up. And we literally did it like bootstrap style, meet us out in the hallway. We'll sign you up. We'll meet on Zoom every single week. So we were kind of ahead of the times in the way that we were doing masterminds online. But the podcast really came after that. It came months after that when we realized there are a ton of people that don't have anywhere to turn for listening to podcasts. And honestly, we enjoyed podcasts. So it's where we had learned so many things. I really loved it as far as, entertainment wise too, and getting to take a podcast wherever. So I actually was the one who did the tech version of it. We came up with episodes. That was how the podcast was born in that way. But really we really showed up as we were, so at that time we thought, oh, are we late? I think that some people think that too. Are we late to the game? And the answer is no. It's just whenever you need to start and show up as you are. We laugh a ton on our podcast. We share our friendship, we share our lives, we share, how we're building our businesses. And that's really has what's captured our audience in sticking with us is because they say it's like sitting down at the table with a cup of coffee with friends. And that's really what's made us stand out is our spin on a product-based podcast. But that's how that was born, was really, sharing those conversations that Jacqueline and I would have in private really, and just putting it on the airwaves and realizing there was actually a whole world of people that felt alone as well.
Ooh, I love that. I got my start as a photographer, so in the service-based business space. So will you walk me through what things are unique to the product-based business space that aren't necessarily typical for a service-based business?
Such a good question and so important to think about. I think also for those of you that are service-based that want to maybe add a product business on, it's something to think about. So one of the biggest things is the startup costs. So a lot of times as a service-based business, you can put out a service and you can book one client, one customer and kind of get your business off the ground. For product-based businesses, there's a lot of money up front. There's the development and production of the actual physical product. I've helped over 1,000 startup fashion brands in my own other business. And one time I remember a guy had said, he's like, so wait, you want me to spend $300,000 before I ever have proof of concept or sales? And I was like, well, for what you want to make, Yeah. So that 300,000 is not for everyone. It could be done in, $5,000. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of money, but the idea is you have to make a product. You have to take photos of the product. You have to sit on inventory, which is a huge difference between service and product based. Shipping, fulfillment, customer service. You're just dealing with physical goods that cost money up front before they're ever sold. So it's beautiful because it's a creative process. A lot of people who are hobbyists or crafters, artists have been able to take, sort of like you, Jenna, like if you decided that you wanted to sell your prints, right? You're able to take your artistic nature and make money off of them, which we love, helping artists thrive, as well as, people who want to manufacture in a very sort of traditional way. But it's the idea of sitting on product and then having to fulfill it.
I love that. I think it's such a great differentiation too. I was joking with you when I spoke with you guys, like my book feels like my first product in a long time that I have to push. And it is a very different way of doing business. And I don't even have the risk of inventory or things like that. But there are a lot of differences. You can obviously search and find many commonalities, many similarities. But at the same point too, for somebody that has this dream of creating a product, there's a lot more upfront risk that you have to really think about and plan for. And so one of the things that I think is so awesome about this time of year is that this is where retail spend is up. Speaking about products, this is where people are buying them the most. So what tips do you have for a product-based business owner who is navigating the holiday season rush, maybe even just for the first time?
I think that the best tip is to prepare and plan ahead. A lot of times because we are in such a busy season when it comes to product based, because just remember, and I wanted to say a little bit about your book too, of, that really is, and it's the beauty of having a product, is it was a tangible form of what you created and brought to this world. And I think that that's what the joy of being a product boss is having that tangible version of having a physical product and saying, this is what I'm contributing to the world and how I'm doing it. And then for the holiday season, it gets really, really busy. And I think that people can get derailed really easily because it's their busy season. So we always tell people to work in your busy season. This is when you're, busy in your business, doing the things, shipping, packing, marketing. But in your slow season, before that is when you stabilize, you scale in your busy months and you stabilize in your quote unquote slow months of ramping up to your busy months. So for the holiday season, having a holiday plan, getting your workspace ready, getting your marketing plan ready, getting your product lineup ready, and really understanding that it's in the marketing of it too. Having your stories ready, having your customer persona ready, all these different things that we teach our product bosses in our different, we actually have like free challenges and free workshops that get everybody prepared for the holiday season, because it's so important for people who own products to really be prepared and know the schedule of when things are going to roll out and when they're going to be making their money.
Ooh, this is so good. And this brings up another thing that's usually different, specifically for product-based versus service-based. But when I think about it, there are a lot of parallels, is that there is this aspect of variable income, right? Like there are usually seasonal trends unless you have, an outlier product that just sells consistently all year long. And so if somebody kind of notices that they're in an industry or their product kind of hits these different lulls throughout the year, how do you advise for them to prepare for like the busy season, but also to be ready for a slower season?
Yeah. And it's so true. It's across the board as entrepreneurs, right? We're always going to have busy and slow seasons and times when we want to push and not. And the amazing thing is for product-based businesses, the third and fourth quarter are typically the busiest. And just as like a fun fact, that product-based business owners can make double the revenue they've made in the first 3 quarters, all in the fourth quarter of the year. So a huge amount of revenue is driven in the last part of the year. But let's say, for example, Minna's company, Little Labels, her biggest time of year is for back to school and camp season, right? So people aren't buying labels to, label lunch boxes and baby bottles at Christmas time necessarily, but they need it when they're sending their kids to daycare. So we want you all to know about those important dates in your business and those important seasons or holidays or marketing events that make sense. We work with a lot of product businesses that are like, let's say we have one that's a knit hat company. This is a way to kind of address the question you're asking. She was putting her knit hats on sale at Black Friday, Cyber Monday time. but she has singular products and it's her busiest time of year. So putting that on sale at that point doesn't necessarily make sense because they need and want what she has. But potentially those sale times can happen after season, right? Like maybe when it's getting warmer outside. But the idea here is we have our signature course, like we said, multi-stream machine. And what we teach in that is multiple streams of revenue for a product-based business. And so this addresses those highs and lows. So when you know it's your busy season, maybe you're selling direct to consumer during the holiday season. Retailers who are buying wholesale from you have probably bought earlier in the year. So we want you to diversify the streams of revenue that you have and ways to generate revenue at different times of year. So in June, the hat company might be selling to boutiques and stores around the country and generating revenue then to project out for shipping during the holidays, right? Because they're going to sell direct to consumer. Now she's going to focus on direct to consumer during the holiday season. And then in times that it starts to dip or go low, that might be where she needs to think about marketing efforts, getting in front of other eyes, making it make sense. You know, she could sell to the other side of the world where in Australia it might be winter during the summer here. So it's really thinking about diversifying your revenue streams and diversifying the visibility platforms that you're on, which is what we teach. But we're not talking about diversifying your product lineup because Minna and I truly believe in leaning into your best sellers, like leaning into what sells. So until you've exhausted getting your best-selling products on multiple platforms and being known for something, we wouldn't say, okay, you feel like it's a slow season, so this is a season that now you're going to come out with bathing suits because your hats don't sell. It's like, no. Let's figure out how to just continue to scale the product that we know that works well and sell it, double down on selling it when people want to buy it. And then when they're not, that might be where you stabilize or you think of alternative ways to sell.
Ooh, I love that because I feel like a lot of people, their first inclination would be like, oh, I just need to get more products and figure out ways to sell a product each season. And I love how you're like, go deep, not wide. I think that's super powerful.
Yeah, we really push towards being known for something, but you can come out and use your creative bone in your marketing channels, your sales channels, and really variations on your bestseller. So the reason why they're bestsellers is because people have told you with their wallets that they want them.
Yes.
Now they might want different variations of that or different bundling or different, tiers of that. But really, we always reference the Juicy Couture tracksuits, that those women that were selling the Juicy Couture tracksuits, if you all remember what they were kind of like these velour jumpsuits, and they probably were so sick of it, but they came out with every color, every variation, short sleeve, long sleeve, capri style, hooded, not hooded. And they were really probably pretty sick of creating more and more jumpsuits, but they later went on to sell their business for millions, multiple millions of dollars. And and this was before, so it's probably like worth billions, but they really did it by going deep and not wide and really focusing on what their customers wanted and what they could provide for them and made it a want and desire of theirs.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. I want to know, so this is something just that popped into my brain as you guys were sharing. If somebody has an idea for a product, it does feel slightly risky to go out and maybe get a mold made or, do a big order. Are there any ways to test the market to ensure that you have a product that will sell, that your audience is willing to purchase before you go all in on something? Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, really great question. And, I think we are both investors in Light Pink with Lori Harder. Yes. And she's a really good example of minimal viable product. So I think that what we want you to think about is there a customer there for what you need? And so a lot of times people jump in and they make something right away, or they start to source and manufacture, which I like in the way of, is this product possible? But if you're thinking about this, like I have a client that I worked with that was doing equestrian apparel for teenage girls. Now it was during the pandemic, so there was nothing but issues in trying to get this product developed and produced and photographed and all the things that go into the startup of a brand. So instead what we did is we started sort of creating community online. So she jumped onto Instagram. She started posting content that made sense. She started attracting the right customers. So posts that made sense to teens and tween equestrian riders, showing, other riders that wore certain outfits, getting feedback, putting surveys, having little meet and greet panels with them and asking them what they need. And then in the development process of it all, so they had said, yeah, we need leggings. We're looking for this kind of shirt. They liked what she was selling. We started selling to them just little things like, because we had nothing to sell, little charms that they could put on the horse's bridle, maybe some sweatshirts with a company name on it to really sort of, once she had developed the community, they were able to buy into the brand. But then as she started to develop the collection, she resourced them. So she's like, hey, there's these 5 colors I'm thinking about for these leggings. What do you think? And then they start to buy into the business before it's ever sold because they're like, oh, we're a part of this. We're part of building this really great brand. They would start to message her and say, hey, we saw this, or you should reach out to this, equestrian influencer. She'd be great to talk about your company. And so before she ever had a product to sell, she had people to sell to, and she proved the viability of it by talking about it and creating it. So I think that's the beauty of social media, that we have this access to our customers worldwide, and it's about building that community before the product's even there. And then they're waiting for it and they're willing to buy.
I know something about you. You're busy. Chances are that you're listening to this podcast and you're probably doing something else too. Mastering the art of working out, walking the baby in the stroller, washing that sink full of dishes. And honestly, we get it. When you're having conversations with your customers, the same is probably true for them. They're juggling just as much. And it can be hard to give a true experience in just a moment, especially when we're all so distracted. HubSpot helps you go beyond the moment by connecting you and your team so you can access all the data you need to see the full customer picture, what motivates them, what their expectations are, and how you can blow them out of the water with your service. With powerful tools that connect marketing, sales, ops, and service, HubSpot's powerful CRM platform powers you and your team to transform customer moments into extraordinary customer experiences. Learn how HubSpot can help your business grow better at HubSpot.com. How many times have you thought to yourself, I should start a podcast? Maybe you've got a voice backed by passion, a knack for storytelling, a penchant for entertaining, a gift for listening and asking those really good questions. No matter what your specialty is, there's a reason you're feeling pulled to the podcast space. So listen to those words. That's the universe maybe telling you something. You should start a podcast. Lean in and make a move. It's time to hit record and host your own show. I can help you craft one from scratch. Snag my totally free guide for podcasting beginners at jennakutcher.com/start-a-podcast. That's jennakutcher.com/start-a-podcast for my beginner podcasting guide. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so when we think about promotions, a lot of times people think about discounting or offering a big flash sale. And I know that a lot of people in the season of the holidays, specifically when you look at things like Black Friday and Cyber Monday, there's this massive pressure to discount or offer a huge sale. Do you have any sort of philosophy around the topics of discounting and sales for product-based businesses?
We do. I'll jump in really quick and just say that we run a challenge every year called Rock Your Holiday Promotions Challenge. And, tens of thousands of product-based business owners go through it. And if you want to listen to day one, it is episode 293 on the Product Boss podcast, which we talk about the important holiday dates for every product-based business. But it's this thing where people think that they need to offer a discount versus create a promotion. And there's a difference. I'm going to let Minna jump in on that.
Yeah, we definitely fully believe in having promotions, right? Those are offers that you make enticing. It's like a carrot to dangle, but there's more carrots to dangle than just a discount, right? And also we really focus on profitability with our students. So are you profitable? So if you're going to offer a discount, could you make it be a bundle of your bestseller, let's just say, and make sure that your profit margin is there? And then you're giving more value, but at a discount. That sort of version, because it's perceived value at that point of that they're buying, but you're still very profitable and you can keep pushing that bundle. There's other things like early access. That's another carrot to dangle versus a discount. And let's just say, there's the urgency there's limited quantity. So urgency and scarcity. But I think that a lot of product people think that they have to go only towards a discount. But there's plenty of things, as long as you wrap it up in the right marketing, that you make it really enticing. You make it where it's, an irresistible offer, that it's not the discount, because that makes it kind of a race to the bottom. But how can you market and package your goods in a way that's still very profitable to you, but really enticing to your customer as well. And I think that that is the focus that really makes a difference in a small business being sustainable and thriving through the holiday season versus one that is solely focused on pricing alone as the driver for their marketing.
Ooh,
And Jen, I just wanted to
that.
add in that the other flip side to this coin is that we're in it right now. Product bosses are in that holiday season where we're heading into Black Friday, Cyber Monday week. And we get this in our challenge. People ask us this question. Well, if I discount my products, am I training my customers to think that they can always buy at a discount? And then there's other people that only discount and they only drive sales if it's discounted all the time. What we do want to say is typically this time of year, the holiday season, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week, as they call it, the expectation is that there are sales. The expectation is that there are discounts. Does it have to be on everything? No. Does it have to be on your bestseller? No. Can you get creative and create bundles? Absolutely. So, for example, luxury goods don't typically go on sale. You're not going to be able to go buy, a David Yurman bracelet on sale at Black Friday. It just is always going to stay at that price. So we have students that never sell, and maybe they have a friends and family sale once a year. And then we have other people that participate in the marketing of this event. It turns out to be a really big revenue driver, but it can be what you want it to be. It's not going to train your customers. The expectation is actually the flip side. They're going to buy and look for sales during Cyber Week. Other times of year, you don't have to do promotions unless you're clearancing out, or like sales unless you're clearancing out. Summer items are going on sale now because we're transitioning into the fall. So that's when sales are truly meant to be discounted.
Mm-hmm. And it could be free shipping. It could be getting a gift card with purchase. There's different ways that you could present your offer to the world. We actually have a free shipping threshold calculator that we teach our students, where what is the threshold that you're still profitable that you can offer free shipping? Because sometimes product bosses, they'll put out a number willy-nilly. And it's like, if you're offering free shipping, which is expected, most people, it was something like 80% of consumers will put more into their cart versus pay for shipping, right? 80% is a big number. So they expect free shipping at this point. But what is the number that you push them to where it's like you get free shipping at X dollars? And so we have this calculator for them that, is it $50? Is it $60 with taking into account that you have to pay for that shipping? So that way they can really focus on knowing their numbers and understanding that at the end of the day, they want to be profitable, even if it means selling out on all the inventory and then not being busy for the sake of being busy, but really being profitable and making good business decisions.
That brings up something that this made me think of. And I've actually had product-based businesses from time to time when I had my watercolor print shop, when I had my necklaces and tote bags and pins. And one thing that I found, and I'm curious what you guys think about this, and it's totally okay if you disagree, but when it comes to products, for most of us, our products are available all the time. So it's like, how do we create excitement or a reason to promote it more intensely for a focused amount of time? Even with our affiliate partnerships, we found that if we do a concentrated push for 24 hours or 48 hours, or even just 1 week long, we will do more in sales than if we just kind of set things on autopilot and don't really give it the breath. And I think something that's really cool about doing more focused promotions, whether it's around the holiday or not, is it really forces you to get creative and also create more marketing assets and a different angle on how you're promoting the product. Do you guys agree with that? Because I've just found when it comes to products, for me, the biggest needle drivers are when we really focus on some sort of campaign, and it doesn't have to be a sale or discount. It could be an addition or bonus like you spoke about, but having some more of a focused time frame and some sense of urgency to make a purchasing decision.
Absolutely. People buy what you tell them to buy. I think that's one of the hardest things that I think people don't realize is that there's decision fatigue out there. Customers want to know, what should I buy? That's why we have mannequins in, department stores. It's like, oh, that's an outfit. And that inspires decision making. The focused, I think, scarcity and time, those are two things that we teach. That scarcity is important. So scarcity of time or scarcity of product, especially, going into times in the economy where things sometimes feel a little bit more like a struggle than they they do in other times. The idea is like, how do you drive that scarcity? Oh, there's a limited amount of these. Get them now, selling out quick. But I think the general idea around your question, and if you follow any other sort of bigger brands, they might do a big launch and say like, the winter collection is here. Right? Oh, yay, winter collection is here. Welcome. New styles dropped. Take a look. But then as you start to see them focus in on their marketing efforts, they may then focus on sweaters. It might be sweater week. And then all of a sudden they're going to talk all about the sweaters. And then they're going to focus on the different colors or variations. They might show how the sweaters are styled. Then the next week they might go into sweatpants or how to create the ultimate winter outfit. So I think it's the same idea in podcasting, right? Or content creators, where you take this bigger piece of content and break it down into little micro pieces of content and you repurpose and you pull it apart and say, what do my customers need to know? Because another example, one of our students, she sells handmade pottery. She's amazing at it. She sells out every single time she has a drop or a launch. She cannot keep things in stock. But she had this one giant lemon pottery bowl that was maybe like $350 and it was on the higher price point side. And she kept telling us like, I can't sell this bowl. And we said to her, have you talked about the bowl? Like all you have to do is talk about it, share it, go on, do a live or a story and share this lemon bowl and show why you love it. She sold it in seconds. So the idea is like, she may have presented the lemon collection, but this one bowl wasn't moving. So let's pull that bowl out and talk about that bowl and why you love it. And then you're going to move that product. So again, I think I want everyone to just think my customers want me to tell them what to buy. And so whatever you want to sell that week or that month or that season, talk about it.
And then can I add something too on that of it being the reason why launches work the way of what Jacqueline's saying, of like spotlighting or featuring products, even if it's not at a discount too, is because people are buying more than your product. They're buying an experience. So for example, the way that you offer something, the hype that you bring, a blitz is what we call it, where a whole bunch of people are talking about it. So let's say you have influencers or you have a launch team and when I say launch, I simply mean like whatever offer. It can be a Halloween sale or something, or, Christmas sale, or it doesn't have to be like this big launch, but people will buy into the experience of the event because then you can offer up the social proof. You can show the reviews. You really are addressing all the hurdles during that time and the obstacles of getting them to buy. And that's why they buy, because you're showing them exactly how to buy from you, that they need it right now and that everybody else is doing it too. So it really is more than just having the product on the virtual shelf. It's really pushing the traffic and removing all the obstacles in the way and getting everybody else into the excitement of that as well.
Oh, yes. Okay. This is the question I'm so excited to ask you because you both know I am obsessed with email marketing, right? We've talked about different ways we can promote a product or teach people how to purchase it, share why they need it. One of the questions that I see pop up in the Goal Digger Facebook community a lot is how can a product-based business leverage email marketing? Specifically, what makes a good opt-in for a product-based business? Is a coupon or discount code the only way, or do you have any other ideas around this?
This is probably, I feel like, one of the reasons we started the Product Boss was a topic like this. So I remember listening to podcasts, probably you as well, Jenna, and it was like, oh, build your email list, build your email list. How do you build your email list? You have an opt-in. And it was sort of like, okay, everyone's offering, free downloads, worksheets, this, that, or the other. And I was like, it doesn't make sense for physical products. I mean, certain physical products it may, but this isn't how it's done in e-commerce and product-based businesses. So, Minna, do you want to jump into this one?
Yeah, I think that this is one of the reason why Jacqueline brought up that it was kind of one of the topics we first addressed. It was because a lot of times people started listening to us because they would listen to service-based and have to flip the information. But the thing with product-based is that the carrot that you do have to typically dangle is a discount, because the general consumer is expecting a discount on that first offer. Right? They're not usually expecting 150 recipes. Now that is a good one for existing customers or maybe a A/B test of growing your email list. But typically it is some sort of discount that you can get that lead acquisition. That's the hardest part for small businesses to wrap their minds around a lot of times, is that they think that strategy is because of a race to the bottom of pricing, but really it's a marketing budget lead acquisition strategy play. Instead of discounting your product in that way, you're literally making sure you have enough margins, because otherwise, how are you going to get new eyes on your business? How are they even going to know you exist? Well, you need to be able to get them on your email list to follow up with them on the sales. And so that 15% really is like acquiring that lead, which is a really hard part. A lot of times with product people, they think, oh, if I build it, they will just come. But that it just isn't true. You need to actually say, we like to say, you're like a star in the universe. How are people going to know you exist? You have to push the traffic or acquire them. And usually the opt-in is 15%, let's say, for that first order. And that's commonplace. Now, if you're a more established brand, it is less and less likely that you have to have that opt-in. So for example, if you're an established brand, we give the example of Dagny Dover. They're an amazing bag brand.
I have their bag right next to me. I love them.
Awesome. They're started by 3 women and they don't give discounts as their opt-in. I believe their discount is early access to the drops. And the drops are not completely different products. They are drops on different colors, seasonal colors. So that
I may have gotten a 10% off, but I think, but twofold here with Minna, what she's saying too is that, okay, so to answer your question, Jenna, yes, I think the discount is a opt-in because you have to think about the customer's objections. And if they're going to buy online, now this isn't like come into my store and get 10% off your first purchase in my store. But when it's online, the risk is greater. They've never touched it, tasted it, smelled it, experienced it. So in order to get them to overcome that hurdle and purchase from you, they would like that discount. It could be exclusions apply. Like you'll see that on furniture stores. There'll be certain things that you get, but you can't get a couch 10% off. The secondary part, what Minna said about the 150 recipes, we've seen that we work with a student that has a meal planner for moms. And so her opt-in could be, because she's got a singular product, 10 quick and easy recipes to make for your family when you're a working mom. And then that could be more of the traditional, get this download opt-in, and then you can start to market to them why they need your journal. Other things like Minna was saying was the exclusive access. So as you get bigger, or depending on what your brand is, it might be exclusive access to early drops. So Dagny Dover does that. It's like you get 24-hour early access to buy this before the whole world gets it. So you can get creative in those opt-ins. And like Minna said, always test and try. But to be honest, the discount typically works. And it has to be a discount that feels motivating. We even talk about that in abandoned cart sequences for product-based businesses, that sometimes in the abandoned cart, it might be dangling a discount, $5 off, free shipping, something like that, to get them to actually transact with you. Because it is, I think, 80% easier or more likely that a customer will return and buy again than trying to acquire new customers. So if you can just get that customer on the front end, then your job gets easier selling to them over and over in the future.
I was just going to say that there are so many times when I'm buying something and then I go to checkout and I see that they have a coupon code field. And then I'm like, oh, I should see if there are any active coupons. And then I do that and I get sidetracked and I never go and finish the sale, or I don't see any coupons. And then it gives me that pause of like, do I really need this thing? Is this really worth it enough? So I love that. And I also think too about like the cost of acquiring a customer. Like I spend money on Facebook ads to acquire new email subscribers. And so when you look at it, like the online marketing world says that for every email subscriber, that's generally speaking $1 extra of revenue per month into your bank account. So yes, it might cost you a little bit, but when you look at the lifetime value and also just the cost of acquiring that subscriber, it's generally worth it to do something like that.
Right. And when you do the math, so again, going back to knowing your numbers of if you have a product that costs not that much, let's say, for example, my labels, right? If I'm going to be doing a 10% off, 15% off, even 20% off, the math of that comes up to less than lead acquisition on Facebook ads, because from all the Facebook agencies that we've talked to, they all say make sure that you can find at least $50 on the back end. Meaning if your product can somehow be the lifetime value of $50, then it's worth it to have acquired them through your Facebook ads. Now, can I make my labels be $50 or more? I mean, currently one pack is $10, but they would have to buy a 5-pack and be likely to buy that in, their lifetime value. And I wasn't actually able to make that. So you have to know like the numbers of if your product is low price, that you would be able to make up that lead acquisition. It has to be worth it is what I'm trying to get to. So when you look at it apples to apples, comparing, the lead acquisition, the coupon actually is the easier, more frictionless way to go than having acquired them through the Facebook ads, but trying to push them to, make up for that in the $50 or over sale purchase point. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So final question. What do you want our listeners to know about the product-based business space? What is something that might surprise them or invite them or encourage them? What do you want them to know?
I think one big thing that I would love everybody to take away from today is that it's more than your product. I know we're the product boss and our love language is product business, but it's more than your product. So when you're looking at standing out in the market or having customers stick with you, it really is about everything around the product. It's the spin that you put on it, so even if it's this candle versus that candle, what makes it your candle that they're willing to buy? Well, it usually has to do with the small business owner and how they've marketed it, how they've shown, how they've addressed the obstacles, what their customer service looks like, what the brand represents. And so that really is the way to really have your business thrive, is to really think about the end customer and really understanding that it's more than the product that they're buying. It's everything around the product as well.
Anything to add, Jacqueline?
Yeah, I would say, and we've seen this happen. Unfortunately, 2020 was a perfect example, but not to have all your eggs in one basket. So for product-based business owners, we work with a lot of makers that got their start on Etsy, and Etsy is fantastic for kind of being also frictionless to getting up and running and selling a product. But the idea here is we've seen Etsy go down. We've seen Amazon go down during the pandemic. Facebook and Instagram crashed at some point. All these times where the universe has shook us by our shoulders and said, hey, if this is your only way of reaching your customers or selling to your customers, you're going to need to diversify. And I think that's why we've been so successful in teaching our students about multiple streams of revenue, multiple streams of visibility. So I want you all to think, we don't believe that you need to have, like we said, it's not about tons of products and tons of places. It's taking your best sellers, getting them onto more platforms and scaling that. Like we said, go deep and not wide, and have those opportunities. So if something got knocked out, the other thing I want to say is that 80-20 rule, 80% of your revenue can be driven by 20% of your products. So for those of you out there that look at your product lineup and you really do the work in terms of what your best sellers are, you can see, oh, wow. Like a lot of times we get caught up in the minutia of, well, people told me they wanted in blue. Well, how many did you sell last year? 3, And so it's like, well, no, they told you, but they didn't actually buy it. So what are they buying? And how do you scale with that? And how do you get that wholesale, direct to consumer, in-person events, selling on Amazon, if that's right for you? What are you talking about on social media? What are you talking about in email? And it's not all the stuff that they don't want to buy. It's the stuff they do want to buy that's going to drive the revenue.
Oh, so good. Okay. Where can everybody find you, listen to your show, learn more about you and how you serve product-based businesses? Give me all the places.
Amazing. So we are at The Product Boss on all social channels. We're also The Product Boss podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And we wanted to give your listeners something as we're in the holiday times right now. We wanted to offer them the Product Boss's Guide to Getting Holiday Ready checklist. So really to check what they're doing, make sure that they feel ready for the influx of sales, the production, the shipping, all the things that they're going to have to really focus in on. So if they head to theproductboss.com/goal-digger, you can get that Product Boss's Guide to Getting Holiday Ready checklist for free.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. This was such a delight. And I feel like this was a master class for product-based business owners.
Thanks so much, Jenna.
That show was so enlightening. Now, I know a ton about service-based businesses, but I learned a lot in this conversation. I hope you did too. I mean, having products is a really big undertaking. And so if you are a product-based business, congratulations. You've jumped through so many hurdles to get your product out into the world. I hope today's show was enlightening and inspiring. I can't wait to see what you do with this information. And of course, until next time, goal diggers, keep on digging your biggest goals. I'm over here giving you a virtual high five because you just finished another episode of the Goal Digger podcast. Did that go by way too fast for anyone else? If you want more, head over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for show notes and all the discount codes from today's sponsors. And if you're looking for a new crew of movers and shakers like you to bounce ideas and ask questions, be sure to join my exclusive community for goal diggers on Facebook. The link's waiting for you at goaldiggerpodcast.com.